Hello, வணக்கம் அனைவருக்கும். இது உங்கள் சாய்குமார். Aspirant Zone A to Z, where you can learn. Already we have covered some 6 classes. Today we are going to continue with the next topic, that is monetary policy. So, whenever the economy needs to be revived, whenever the economy needs to be managed, what we have to do is we can use some 3 basic tools. One is monetary policy, another one is fiscal policy, another one is government measures. So usually what is monetary policy, what is fiscal policy, and all we will discuss later part of the time. Today we are going to discuss about the monetary policy. Monetary policy is implemented by RBI. So we are continuing with the RBI's function. So earlier we might have discussed that what are the functions, RBI functions: monetary policy, currency issuer, banker and banker for the government, and all we have discussed. So today we are going to discuss about the monetary policy. Very important. Without these questions, the interview never happens. That you have to. Monetary policy. Monetary policy. We will discuss everything. If you have any doubt, you can join in our Telegram channel and then you can ask any questions if you have any doubt in our session. So don't get hesitated for any questions. Monetary policy is very important with respect to exam. If you are anyone preparing for the banking exams, it is very important, and interview also. Without these questions, it won't happen. First, monetary policy. In monetary policy, there is one committee named Monetary Policy Committee. Monetary Policy Committee. So in this committee, how many members will be there? There will be some 16 members, 6 members. Just give me a few seconds. I share this link to the group as well. So monetary policy we are going to discuss. And what are the functions of the Monetary Policy Committee? Function of this committee we might have discussed. One is maintaining the money flow or cash flow in the economy. Maintaining the money flow or cash flow in the economy. Money flow in the economy. So this is the first function, and the second one is maintaining the stability in the economics. Maintaining stability in the economy. How they are maintaining and all we will discuss. Maintaining stability in the. So everyone might be know that how the bank works. Still I wanted to explain you something about that. Let's say for the example, this is the bank, this is the people, this is RBI. Let's say for example, this is the RBI. What happens? RBI on behalf of the government says they are giving assurance that to the people that don't worry, bank will never be corrupted. So we will give guidelines and all to the bank, so they won't cheat you like that, they are saying. So people have faith on bank. So what they are doing? They are depositing. So when your money is deposited, let's say for the example FD, RD, or CASA account, current account or savings account, you are basically what you are doing, you are depositing. So when you are depositing, you will expect something in return. So that is we call as returns, or we can say for bank are borrowing from you. So with that deposit, what they are doing? Bank is lending back to the people who needs loan as a loan. So for that people only they are receiving. For that people what will they do? They will pay interest. They will pay interest. So that is what basically happens in the banks. So similarly, whenever like repo rate, reverse repo rate, whenever it increases, what will basically happens? The bank has to give more money to RBI than people. So automatically, what happens? It cannot spend more money. Bank cannot lend more money to the loan. So automatically, money flow will disrupted. I hope you understand. Okay. I hope you understand. Just a basic structure I am trying to give you. Whenever, let's say for the example, repo rate is there. Some person, if don't know the repo rate, I will explain you later. Repo rate means it is also some interest only, some amount interest. So which means bank have to pay to RBI. That you have to understand. Now bank is acting like a people. Just consider it is RBI is a bank, and then just for the example I am saying. So when it increases rate, what will do? Bank have to spend more money on RBI. So then what will happen? Money flow will affected. So this is how the money flow is controlled in the economy. So that's it. So there are so many tools in the monetary policy. First point, what are the tools? It might be asked in the interview as well. Tell me some tools which are very important in the monetary policy. So one is repo rate. I will explain. Repo rate one is explained. Second one is reverse repo rate. Reverse repo. One is repo rate. Second one is reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate. Third one is bank rate. All are similar, like will be similar only. Repo rate and bank rate will be like similar concepts that you have to remember. So repo rate and bank rate are similar concept, but repo rate given for the short time. Short term is just 19 days, and then bank rate is given for 19 to 1 year. That is long term. So fourth tool, monetary tool is MSF. We will see the full form and all in the later part of the session. And then cash reserve ratio, CRR. Sixth one is SLR, and seventh one is SDF, standing deposit facility. So reverse repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank rate, MSF, CRR, SLR, SDF, and then they are quantitative. They can be measured. So quantitative measures can be taken by RBI, Monetary Policy Committee, or the RBI takes these measures. Then qualitative measures. What are the qualitative measures? One is direct action. What RBI will do? Directly takes action. If some bank does not comply with the rules and regulation of RBI, what RBI will do is it might cancel the license at the extreme condition, or it will fine. It would fine the banks. Recently, you might have read many news about banks. If they are not complying with the rules and regulation, RBI will take strict actions. So that is called a direct action. Then RBI guidelines. It is just a guidelines. They are giving rules and regulation how it has to work and all. Then moral suasion, that it's an advisory in nature. RBI gives some advisory to maintain the health of the money flow in the banking sector. They will give some advice. So that is called moral suasion. It is a moral suasion, which means advisory in nature. So this is all about monetary policy. So these are the tools. Before entering into the monetary policy, we need to learn many terminologies. That is also very important. Then only we can understand the banking system. So I am introducing some important terminologies with respect to, it will be helpful with respect to interview as well as at the time of your banking exam. So just to note down these points before explaining that. First, what is unemployment? What is unemployment? If someone asks you what is unemployment, what you have to tell is willingness. I have the willingness, I have the knowledge, but I did not get a particular job, means that is called unemployment. How will you tell? Willingness and able to work. Have the willingness and able to work, but unable to get a job. Unable to get a job. So that is called unemployment. That's called unemployment. So whenever the unemployment happens in an economy, when unemployment ratio or percentage increases in an economy, what will happen? Unemployment is there. So when unemployment, the people won't get any income, so there is no income. When there is no income, what will happen? There won't be any expense. I cannot spend much. So no expense, no income means no expense. When there is no expense, I cannot purchase, no purchase. When there is no purchase, what will happen? No demand. There won't be any demand. If I am not purchasing, there won't be any demand. Then when there is no demand, there won't be any supply. When there is no supply, manufacturing also get affected. Manufacturing. So when there is no manufacturing, no jobs. So when there is no job, automatically it leads to the unemployment. So this is what we call as vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. Vicious cycle means it's a negative terminology. It is a negative terminology. Vicious cycle. It is a vicious cycle. So whenever the unemployment rate increases, automatically what happens? The economy get affected. That you have to remember. How it is getting affected? This is the flow. Unemployment, when there is an unemployment, automatically it decreases the income, it decreases the expense, and then no purchase, no demand, no supply, no manufacturing, and no jobs. This cycle continues again and again, means it is very, very dangerous to the economy. So whenever you are reading the newspaper, you have to see how much the unemployment percentage is there, and all you have to remember before entering into the interview. So this is called vicious cycle. Another one cycle, let's say for the example, when the employment ratio is increased, employment percentage is increased, what will happen? Income automatically comes. When I have income, I can spend more. So when I can spend more, there is a demand. Then I will purchase. Then when we purchase, demand also increases. When demand increases, supply also increases. When supply increases, manufacturing also increases. When manufacturing increases, automatically jobs also increase. So employment will be generated. This cycle is called as virtuous cycle. Virtuous is a positive word. Virtuous cycle. This cycle is called as virtuous cycle. It is a positive word, very, very important. So this is what we call as unemployment. These are the things what we know about unemployment. Basic concept only. You might have think this is very, very simple, but with respect to banking, you have to understand all these things. How economy works. Okay, how economy works. What are the factors that is affecting the economy? Supply effects, demand effects, unemployment effects. There are many factors that is affecting the economy. Inflation, when the inflation increases, what you have to do? You have to reduce the inflation. Otherwise, what will happen? The economy will collapse. So there are so many techniques followed in the economy by the government, by the RBI to reduce the inflation. You might have heard about RBI is bi-monthly conducting the monetary policy repo rate. They will revise repo rate every 2 months. They will revise repo rate. For what they are revising? To control the economic money flow. Okay, we will discuss all the things. So as of now, unemployment. What is unemployment? Vicious cycle. What is the vicious cycle? What is virtuous cycle? Then whenever you are reading the newspaper, you might have heard the terminology that organized sector and unorganized sector. So it is a very raw terminology. But now we are going to understand some basic point about the organized sector and unorganized sector. So if anyone does not understand my flow, just you can remind me that, just go slowly. I will understand like that. If you are mentioning means I will be able to try to explain it. Okay. Then what is the difference between organized and unorganized sector? So organized, the terminology itself saying that organized means there is some rules and regulations. So it is a regulated. Organized means it is a regulated sector. It is a regulated sector. So there will be a fixed salary for organized sector persons. There will be a fixed salary. Let's say for the example, government officials, they are organized sector. They belong to organized sector. They have the fixed salary. Then they will be available of provident fund, PF. There will be available of provident fund, and social security benefits would be available. Social security benefits available. Benefits. Then let's say for the example, pension. Social security benefit means pensions, as we discussed earlier. PF, all are social security benefits. And I'm continuing on the next page. Okay, so for the example, I have said that officials, government judges, they are organized. Okay. Then very, very important definition. It is a definition of organized sector. One is 10 or more persons with electricity, any office or premises with 10 or more persons with electricity will be called as organized sector, or it has to be registered under organized sector. So 20 or more without electricity, they have to be registered as organized sector. They have to cover under the RBI. They have to cover under the organized sector. So it has to be registered. It has to be registered as a company or whatever it is. There are rules and regulations that we don't need. So organized means there should be 10 plus with electricity, 20 plus without electricity. Then unorganized. Just opposite to organized is unorganized. It is regulated. Unorganized is unregulated. There is no rules and regulations. They are not covered under fixed salary regime. So there is no fixed salary, flexible salary. So there is a huge disparity, we can say. Let's say for the example, construction workers. If the construction workers, whatever the owner are providing the money, that is the wage for them. Even they can be deprived at the time of many times. So flexible salary, unorganized means flexible salary. There won't be any PF, there won't be any social security benefits. There won't be any social security benefits. Examples. Momo seller, example, momo seller or popcorn seller, we can say, popcorn seller. They are not covered under the any organization. So it is a major disadvantage for them. So that's it. Mostly informal jobs. Mostly informal jobs are called unorganized sector. Informal jobs. So that's it about the organized and unorganized sector. Then, so second terminology has been finished. Then, there are whenever you are reading newspaper, you will face all these terminologies. So that is why I am teaching all the words. There are so many terminologies. I will include whenever it is needed. In which class it is needed, I will include those terminologies. So do remember. Then there are work. There are two types of work as of now. We are classifying labor intensive jobs. Labor intensive jobs. What is labor intensive jobs? What is capital intensive jobs? Capital intensive jobs. So, as that name mentions, labor is very important for these industries to exist. Capital, which means your investment, is very important to exist these type of industries. Let's say for the example, construction industries. Construction, for any construction work, we need huge manpower. That is why we call it as a labor intensive jobs. Then agriculture, famous for labor intensive. Without labor, we cannot do agriculture as of now. So now we are in the transition period. So we are moving towards machineries. So because of the unavailability of the labor, if you go for the labor for one day in any village, for male, they are asking for 900 to 1500 per day. For female laborers, they might be asking 400 to 500 per day. So when the cost of wages increases, we cannot spend more because the profit earned from that land is very less when compared to the wages. So now we are shifting towards the machineries. So agriculture is a labor intensive industry, and let's say for the example, tea plucking, tea industries. These all are example for the labor intensive jobs. Then capital intensive, just opposite to the labor intensive. So for capital intensive, let's say for the example, IT sector. For IT sector, we don't need that much of labor, but capital is very important. Artificial intelligence. We don't need labor or human resource when compared to labor intensive jobs. Artificial intelligence. Then robotics. So these are the capital intensive jobs. Then there are we have discussed that what is capital. Capital means money or investment. Let's say just in a layman term, we can say what is capital means. If anyone asks, capital means investment, the expenditure incurred out of my pocket, just a layman term. But there are some other capitals also is that. Capital means it is a investment. Let's say for the some different capitals, human capital. For any country, human is a capital. Human resource is a asset for any country. Any country, for any country, their people are very, very important for the country. For any country, human force, man force, human force is an asset. Is an asset. Is an asset. For India, we have 140 million people, 140 crore people in India. So India has to utilize its manpower at its maximum. Then only it can attain maximum productivity, and then economy will go up. Because whenever the government is exploiting that, not exploiting, in fact, using the knowledge of the people, then automatically the economic will spike. So, human capital means human skills, innovation, creativity, all are called as human capital. So, every country has to exploit these skills, innovation, creativity to create a job. Okay, you might have heard that in many news, all the people, Indians are studying, they have very good knowledge, they have skills, creativity, but after some time, what will they do? They will shift to their next another countries. Let's say for the example, America, they will move to the America. So they will hire for a, America will hire for a higher wages. So what happens basically, the India is losing its capital. It is losing its capital. So what have to do? India has to do? They have to retain the human capital. So that is what we call as human capital. Then social capital. What is social capital? Social capital means peace, peaceful society, peacefulness, peaceful society, harmony among the society, all are called as social capital. So any country is in war means it is a huge disadvantage for any country's growth. So peacefulness, harmony among the societies are very, very important. It is also called as social capital. It is also one type of capital that is called social capital. So just two important terminology, just to remember these things as well. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask here itself. Next terminology we are moving, poverty, very, very important. Poverty. What is poverty? कपड़ा नहीं, खाना नहीं, मतलब poverty. Excuse me. Hello. Class. Okay. Okay. Again, let's begin. Poverty. What is poverty? Whenever you hear the terminology poverty, poverty means unable to access. What is poverty? Unable to access. Unable to access food, clothes, shelter gets affected. Whenever there is a poverty, automatically the food, clothes, shelter will get affected, and it automatically leads you to affects the education. It affects the education. It affects the health of the particular community. Sanitary affects, and dignity also gets affected. And political participation also decreases, because when they are hungry, they cannot participate for the country. Political participation also gets affected. Participation. Then finally, harmony also get affected. So you might have heard about the news about Manipur. What happens basically? There is a disharmony between two communities, Suki and Kukizo. So this all will lead to the poverty only. So it affects the harmony also. So unable to access food, clothes, shelter, education, that automatically affects the education, health, sanitary, dignity and political participation. That is why we call as poverty. So it is a negative terminology. So it is a vicious cycle. There is a vicious cycle. It is a vicious cycle. Then next terminology. There are two types of states. State means a country. In the with respective to the constitution, states means a country. State means there are two meaning. One is country, it represents the country. Another one term that represents the states. Manilangal. Okay. So here we are talking about the country. The meaning with the meaning of country. So there are two types of states. One is police state. One is police state. Another one is welfare state. Welfare state. What is police state? What is welfare state? Let's we understand. So police state, in any police state, the rules and regulation given primary importance. So importance given to laws, rules and regulations. So rules and regulations. So they will never consider the other things. They will consider only rules and regulations, whether you are following the rules and regulation or not. That's it. So orders and defense. Let's say for the example, in any region, 144 is started means what will happen? Automatically the defense only will speak. Rules and regulation they have to follow. They won't consider any other things. So welfare state. What is welfare state? Not only rules and regulation, not only law and order is important. Not only law and order. But also people's welfare also very important. Welfare also important for any welfare state. So India is a welfare state. We consider there are so many welfare schemes is there. So India also welfare state. So this is the basic difference between welfare state and police state. So the next terminology is just give me a few seconds. What happened? I think there is some issues with the application. Just give me a few more minutes. Okay, let's continue with the black pen itself. So there are, what is subsidy? We'll see. There are some three important terms that you have to know. Whenever you are reading newspaper, you have to know these things. One is subsidy. Another one is concessional loan. Another one is grant. There are many difference between these three terminologies. Subsidy means they will reduce some amount, reducing the amount when compared to the original rate of a commodity or anything, any scheme. So subsidy means reducing some amount. Concessional loan means reducing some percentage of rate of interest. Rate of interest. Interest will be reduced. Interest will be reduced. So more or less subsidy and concessional loan will be similar, like similar. For grant means 100% free. 100% free. There is no need to pay back. 100% free, no need to pay back. Grant means no need to pay back. Grant means there is no need to pay back. Very, very important. So subsidy and grant. In newspaper, you will read these terminologies. Grant. India recently given grant to the Sri Lanka and Maldives. Grant means they will never take back, or they will never ask that money, whatever they have given, the government will never ask back. So that is called grant. Then what is subsidy? On behalf of the people, on behalf of the people, on behalf of the people, government also never try to mug up anything. Government also provides assistance in the form of cash or kind, in the form of cash, can be a cash or it can be kind. So cash, we know what is kind. Kind means the government is providing cycle to the 12th students, that is a kind. So it is also one type of subsidy. We can call it as freebie also, but it is a subsidy. We have to call it as subsidy. Cycle, laptop, free laptop, dress, shoe. So all are called as subsidy. So kind type of subsidy. So on behalf of the people, government also provides some assistance. It is not 100%, some assistance they are giving. That is called subsidy. So this is it. For the example, we can say we are receiving paddy in the pear shop paddy. So that is also subsidy. Then there are two types of subsidies. Another one classification is subsidy. There is two types of subsidy. One is direct subsidy. Another one is indirect subsidy. Direct subsidy and indirect subsidy. What is direct subsidy means? Money directly reaches to the bank account of the or in the hands of people. Money reaches directly to the hands of people. Money reaches directly to the hands of people. So these terminologies might look like very easy, and you might have skipped these things, but at the time of interview, if they are asking questions, means you cannot answer these simple terminologies as well. What is the difference between direct subsidy and indirect subsidy? If they are asking like that, means you cannot retrieve your memory, you cannot create your own words at that time. So what you have to do is you have to pre-plan. Just at least you have to understand basic concepts. Then you can manage at the time of interview. So try to manage, never mug up for interview. Try to manage in the interview. How to manage? That is what I am teaching right now. So just remember all the concepts. Then go to the interview. If they are asking, means just explain how much you can remember. That's enough. So if you know answer, tell the answer. If you don't know, just tell they don't know. If you have partial answer, then you don't know the remaining half of the answer, means you have to tell, sorry sir, as of now I cannot recollect the remaining answer. Like that you can explain them, they will allow you to the next question. So that's it. So indirect subsidy means the money will not reach the people directly, what will happen? Money, the amount will be spent on some other kind. For the example, wheat, wheat, we are getting at the concessional rate. Now in Tamil Nadu, we are getting at the free of cost, we are getting rice, wheat and all, we are getting at the reduced price. So it is called indirect subsidy. Indirect subsidy. They are not giving direct money to us. Instead of directly giving money to them or to us, what they are doing? They are spending. The government is directly spending on the kind. So this is called subsidy, direct and indirect. I hope you understand. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the Telegram channel. Okay. So for interview, we are going to conduct 2 sessions. So for interview, we are whenever the mains result comes, so I will conduct 2 sessions. 2 sessions at 300 rupees. At 300 rupees. So in that 2 sessions, first session you will introduce yourself. I will ask some 4 important topics, and we are going to upload that video into the YouTube as well. So basically what you are going to do is, when your performance will be recorded and then uploaded in the YouTube. So after answering all the questions, you have to analyze yourself by seeing your video, how you are speaking, how is your pronunciation, how you are answering, and all you have to. Half an hour ama. Ama. Sure. So where did I left? ₹200, 3. Where did I left it? 2 less. That is why no one should interrupt my flow. Fair price shop. So okay. Let's jump to the next one. So direct subsidy. Example, for the direct subsidy, we can say Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. In Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, direct subsidy is given. Or we can say Kisan Samman Nidhi. In that scheme, what government is doing, they are giving 6,000 amount directly to in the hands of people. So it is called direct subsidy. That's it. Then fiscal policy. I am explaining you on the basic terminology. With the basic terminology, you also have to remember. So monetary policy we are going to discuss. That is not an issue. Before monetary policies, these terminology we have to know. That is whether you know all the terminals or not, I have to revise. That's it. I have to give you a revision. So fiscal policy. What is fiscal policy? Just understand basic difference between fiscal policy and monetary policy. Monetary policy is done by RBI. So fiscal policy is done by Government of India, and particularly we have to say Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance. So these both policies are very, very important in any economy to control the money flow, to control the inflation, to control the unemployment, to revive the growth of any economy. So just for the example, let me say after Corona, what happened? The economy fell down. So what are the measures taken by the government? That is called fiscal policy. The government has introduced many schemes at the time of Corona. What happened? They introduced many schemes. They gave paddy, 5 kg paddy free of cost. There are so many schemes introduced at the time of Corona. So those all the things are collectively called as fiscal policy. The government will introduce many schemes. That is called fiscal policy. RBI also involved in reviving the economy. That is called monetary policy. Monetary policy. They implemented many monetary tools, which we have discussed earlier, SLR, CRR, repo rate, reverse report, all the tools they have implemented at the time. That is also very, very important to revive any economy. So that is called monetary policy. So basically, in monetary policy, sorry, fiscal policy, government involves. Government involves. It is done by Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance. Just make a table. It is very, very important table. Through budget, through budget. They have this through budget. If government is reducing the income tax, government reducing the income tax level means it is a fiscal policy one. So it is fiscal policy means it is about what is mean how the income is coming to the government. Income. What is fiscal policy? How the income is coming to the government. How government is expenditure. Government how is the government's expenditure, and what is the borrowing? What is the borrowing of the government? That is what we call as fiscal policy. In layman terminology, this is the basic definition for the fiscal policy. So income, what is the income, what is the expenditure, and how they are borrowing, how the government is borrowing. So basically for any government there are two types of income. One is through tax, another one is non-tax. Only two type of income for any government. One is tax, another one is not tax. What is tax? So there are so many tax. Direct tax is there, indirect tax is there. So then also we have to subdivide these things, but we will discuss some these things in elaborate later point of time. But as of now, I am keeping it simple. So taxable and non-taxable. Taxable means there are two types. Income tax is a direct tax. Income tax is a direct tax. GST is a indirect tax. So tax, if you are providing, if you are giving tax to your own land, that is direct tax. So non-taxes. If you are paying fine, fees, fine, everything is a non-tax. It is not a tax. Okay. Then RBI dividend to the government. Every year RBI is giving some dividend to the government. That is called non-taxable income to any government. Selling of the government assets. Government assets means there are many companies under the government of India also. If they are selling means it is a income for the government. So this is all about the income of the government. Then the expenditure. How government is expenditure? How government is spending money in the economy, infrastructure. Let's say for the example, in Coimbatore, government is constructing the metro train. So it is a infrastructure only now. So then old man's pension, salary to any officials, that is also expenditure for the government. Salary, payment, government is paying any payment means that is also expenditure for any government. Then borrowing. How they are borrowing? There are two types of borrowing. One is internal borrowing. Another one is external borrowing. Which means external borrowing means government is borrowing from some other countries. Means external borrowing, and government is borrowing inside the country from the people, from RBI, from banks, means that is internal borrowing and external borrowing. So for the example, loans, advances, debt, all are borrowings only. So this is all about the fiscal policy. It's all about the fiscal policy. Fiscal policy means nothing but just just discussing about the income, expenditure, and its borrowing. Borrowing means you have to pay back. Government has to pay back. So whenever in any government, income equalizes the expenditure. Income equalizes the expenditure. The budget is means balanced. Balanced. Economy is balanced in nature. Whenever income is more than its expenditure, income is higher. Income is higher means it is a surplus. It is a surplus, very positive thing for any economy. So it is surplus. Surplus we can say as more. Okay, it's a difference or gap, surplus. Then whenever income is less than the expenditure for any government, it is a negative terminology, negative word. So surplus, deficit. For any government, expenditure is higher than the income means it is a deficit, it is a negative word, it means lesser gap, which means lesser gap. So why I am explaining these terminologies means you might have here the terminology that fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit. What is fiscal deficit? What is fiscal deficit? If interview panel member asks you what is fiscal deficit means whenever the government expenditure is higher than the income, that is called fiscal deficit. What happens? Income is less than the expenditure. So in this situation, what happens? Government is spending more. Government is spending more. Then it is called fiscal deficit. So you might have think that fiscal deficit, whether the fiscal deficit is danger for economy. No. Just what you have to remember is fiscal deficit is very good for economy, but some extent. But some extent only. For example, 0 to 4% fiscal deficit is there means it is good for economy. Let me explain you. What is the expenditure for a government? They are expenditure. They are spending more on the infrastructure, welfare of the society. They are spending more on the schemes. They are spending more on the trails. They are spending more on the officers. Means it is good for any economy. Okay, because their infrastructure will give, however, it's going to give you back in some period of time. For the example, let me say, for the example, if government is investing on one park means, what will happen? It will automatically increases the revenue. Not park, it is a one tourist park means as of now it is a expenditure for a government, but in future what is going to do, it is going to give return to the government. So it is a good for any economy. So but for some extent. So this is called fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit. If government, if panel member asks whether the fiscal deficit is good for the economy or bad for the economy, we should not tell that fiscal deficit is negative and then fiscal deficit not good for the economy. It is a wrong answer. You have to explain these things. Infrastructure expenditure means the government is basically spending more on welfare of the society, which means the government is going to revive the people's welfare. So this will automatically increase the livelihood of the people. So it is not an expenditure. It is going to increase the human capital. It is going to increase the human capital. Okay, I hope you understand the terminology human capital. It is basically human capital. That's it. That is what we call as fiscal deficit. Then we have discussed about borrowing, we have discussed about the income. Let's see about the borrowing. This all are we discussing about the fiscal deficit. So borrowing we have seen now, income, expenditure, borrowing. How the government is borrowing? There are two types of borrowing that we have seen, that one is external borrowing, another one is internal borrowing for any country, internal borrowing. So what is external? Government is asking money from other country. Government asking money from Government is asking money from other country. Recently Pakistan also asked money from IMF. So it is external borrowing only now. They have to pay back. The Pakistan has to pay back. Sri Lanka also got some money from IMF. So that is also they have to pay back. India also gave some concessional loan to the Sri Lanka. They have to pay back after some time. It might be 10 years or 20 years, whatever it is, but they have to pay back now. So that is called external borrowing. They are not borrowing from inside the country, but they are borrowing from the outside country. So internal borrowing means within the region, within the territory, within India, within country, within. So I am again dividing the external borrowing into two types. One is bilateral borrowings. Bilateral means there are only two parties. One is our country, another one is borrowing, which from whom we are going to borrow. So only two parties will be there. So we are calling it as bilateral. Bi means two lateral. Then multilateral borrowing. So just understand this thing. If let's we say for the example, government of India is borrowing from Japan, or borrowing from America, means it is called as bilateral borrowing. But the government is borrowing from IMF, World Bank. We will discuss all the things in the later point of time. What is IMF? What are the members in the IMF? How many members in the IMF? How the World Bank works? Everything is very, very important only. So I will try to cover as much as I can. Okay. New Development Bank. These all are very, very important. Okay. This might seems to you very different if you are first time, if you are listening, and then if you are trying to learn, means it will be very difficult to understand all the things, but I will explain you step by step. So kindly follow our class. So this is what we call as bilateral borrowing, external borrowings. Then I am coming to the internal borrowing. What are the internal borrowings? RBI dividend. RBI is giving some money to the government. The government has to pay back. RBI won't give free of cost to the government. So for them, they have to return, because RBI borrowed from a bank. For a bank who gave money, people gave money. So they are liable to give money back to the bank. Bank is liable to pay back the money to the people. So it is interconnected. Okay, RBI giving dividend to bank, government, means it is not like free of cost. The RBI will give money to the government. Everyone has the responsibility. They have to pay back whenever the money is whenever the money is borrowed from someone. That has to be paid back. Okay. So these all are within the country. If government of India selling some portion of its company for what we say, if government of India selling some portion of LIC to people, means it is a borrowing only. They are selling, internally selling. So government of borrowing. Okay, right. G security and all. So these are the borrowings. Then. So that's it. Then next terminology, balance sheet. We are killing, sir. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the live sessions. If you are joining the live sessions, utilize that. Okay. If you don't understand, means it is waste of my time also, your time also. So understand, try to understand. If you don't understand, ask the question in the live session itself. I will try to explain in the comfortable language. Okay. Balance sheet. What is balance sheet? Balance sheet talks about balance sheet talks about liability and asset. Liability. If you are first time, if you are listening this session, means you might have the question about what is liability, what is asset, what is asset, what is liability, what is asset. In layman's terminology, liability means you have to pay back, have to pay back, have to pay back. Whatever you brought, you borrowed, you have to pay back. Na? That is called liability. What is asset? Returns comes from the asset. You are going to earn something from one asset means that is called asset. Any kind, for the example, let's we say for the example, if you are purchasing one building means initially it is a asset. Why it is a asset? In the future you are going to get money from the room rent. If you are selling that building, you will get money back. So that is called asset. Liability means, let's say for the example, you are getting loan from you are getting personal loan in any bank. So what you have to do, you have to pay back that loan, you have to pay back the interest, you have to pay back the personal principal. So that is called a liability. So asset means we will get returns from that, so that is called asset, for the example, building, or if you are investing in the FD, that is also one type of asset for you. Okay, so another one thing is, there are no such many students. If you know that, I will ask you some question that for us fixed deposit is a investment or asset. For me, fixed deposit is a asset. Okay, but if you are investing in the bank, you are giving fixed deposit. For bank, fixed deposit is a liability, because they have to pay back after some time. After it may be after 7 days, it may be after 30 days, it may be after 90 days. The bank have to pay back that fixed deposit. So for bank, fixed deposit or deposits will be liability. For bank, loans are asset. This might confuse you. Okay, for common people, loans are liability. For bank, loans are asset. I hope you understand. So that's it. So what is liability and what is assets? We have seen that. So balance sheet. What is balance sheet? It is a difference between a liability and asset. How much liability for me? How much asset is for me? Asset means positive, liability means negative. So they will they will minus, or they will find the difference. Then it will be called as balance sheet. Then it will be called as balance sheet. Difference between the liability and asset is called as balance sheet. There are some types of liability also is there. We will see all the things in the later part of time. So loan means you have to pay back with interest. Concessional loan means there will be some interest. Soft loans, grant means you no need to pay back. All we have discussed. Okay. With this basic information, I am going to end this session, today's session. Recently, base year, I am telling one concept. What is base year means? For any economy, for any economist, base year is very, very important. We might have heard that 2011 population survey. So always whenever you are reading in a newspaper, if in newspaper if they have mentioned 6% population has been increased, 6% population has been increased means from when 6% population increase, you have to ask the question from when 6% population has been increased, from last year, from last month, from last 2 years, you have to ask the question. You have to ask the question. So basically 6%, if they are mentioning 6% means basically they are the 6% is increased from base year. What is the base year? 2011 to 2012. As of now, what is our base year? 2011 to 2012 is our current base year. Why we are choosing this 2011 and 2012 as base year? Because in this year, if you see the economy, there will be a less fluctuation in the inflation. Less fluctuation in the inflation. Inflation means increase in the prices of any goods and services. That is called inflation. So less fluctuation in the inflation, less fluctuation in the market, less fluctuation in the economy. That is why we select base year as 2011 and 2012. So from that year, we will calculate anything, whether it is a employment, whether it is a population, whether it is a livestock population, whatever it is, base year needed. So this base year we are going to change to 2022 to 2023. From when? From 2026 February month. So from 2026, what will be our base year? 2022 to 2023. So after Corona revival, the government is going to take 2022 to 2023 as a base year. So I hope you understand. So there was one committee who recommended this base year. The committee name is Bishwant Goldar. So Bishwant Goldar is the person who recommended the base year. It should be changed from 2011 to 2012. That's all about the base year. So I hope you understand. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can directly contact me in the Telegram channel. Before leaving this session, just click on the like button and then share as much as you can. I would be very grateful if you are sharing and letting others to know about this. So very thank you for watching this video, and let's be meet in yet another session. Up to that, tata, bye bye, see you.